All right. Pretty quick video about just general, TradingView chart organization. It's kind of ironic that I say that because this chart looks insane as I'm showing this. I said it before that, like, my chart organization is not the best by any means. You just have to find something that works for you and, is essentially, I guess intuitive for whatever it is you're doing, whatever your trading style is. Mine is pretty chaotic, but the organization that I've got does work for me. Um, Again, and every now and then I'll go through and clean everything up again. So for starters, first thing is we'll go through the actual chart breakdown. And so with my TradingView plan, I have 5 available layouts. And I will tell you that, these are all pretty bad, but again, it works for me. So first, I just call it standard. So essentially, like my first layout, I use pretty much the first one for every altcoin chart that I'm making ever. Every single one of them goes on this first chart. I'm going to bounce around on here based on importance. 5, Bitcoin. Every Bitcoin chart or anything relating to Bitcoin, I will chart under this. And so that means if it's, the CME, I'll chart on that. And any Bitcoin chart, I'll chart on that. Bitcoin dominance goes under here. And so one other caveat that I do just to kind of keep some of my Bitcoin charts cleaner is if I'm doing a bunch of like time fibs or fib retracements for Bitcoin, I'll actually throw them under this first one so that I can just flip back and forth between the actual layout, but the same ticker to kind of see some different ideas. Again, it all depends on how you lay it out. 4, I will use 4 for some of my copy trading setups where, I'm actually trading for some investment firms. And so I'll actually mark my entries and exits on certain coins on that. It really, I don't do that for all of mine because some of the higher risk, trading setups that I'm doing buy in and out and sell pretty quick, and it's impossible to keep up with that. So I really only use that for like the slower long term trading that essentially where I'm trading for other people. And it's so that I can keep a portfolio logger a little bit cleaned up and actually have it organized, dates of entry, things like that. Split screen RSI, I will only bring this up occasionally. This is, let me actually just go ahead and pull one up. So all I have here is we just have 2 charts, and it just has a bunch of different RSI timeframes. This works if I'm, looking at Bitcoin. I'll occasionally pull this up. I'll say once every couple weeks I will pull this up. Um, and so this is again just a way for me to kind of check through what I'm, you know, whatever I'm charting kind of thing. Just lets me check overall market RSIs, look for oversold bounces, things like that. Again, it's very general. I don't trade on this idea. It's just when I get to a point that I'm kind of, taking a macro step back and saying, let me look at the whole market. Let me see, how bloody all of these conditions are, kind of a thing. One other thing I do use this for occasionally is actually what I just had up here. So I had Jasmy and Jasmy 3L. I am a huge advocate of not charting on 3L or 3S tokens, and so I will actually pull up the other chart over here to map where the same entries would be. And so let's go super hypothetical. Actually, no, I'm not going to go into that. But occasionally, I'll zoom both of these in, so now I'm just looking at the 2 charts. And so it kind of doubles as that, where you don't have to look at all of the RSIs. And other than that, all I keep on here is, divergence indicators, and that's all. And the last one, which is, nicely titled miscellaneous. Oh, yeah. This is one that I actually use to make, oh God. Let me get rid of that weird mouse click button thing going on there. This is actually one that I use to make a bunch of my like tutorial PDF files. And so I keep this one pretty plain Jane. It's essentially one that, I was just making the stochastic RSI. And so this is what's up here. You'll notice there's nothing else other than volume. And so miscellaneous is truly just a catch-all extra for me. If I'm trying to make a chart idea and share it to where it doesn't have a bunch of, excess drawings on the chart, like, if I'm using this Bitcoin chart, I can't really show an idea cleanly here. I'll flip over to AVAX, or not AVAX, this miscellaneous, and remake it on this chart so that it's, that's really the only idea there. Again, those are, the 5 layouts that I use. I spend 95% of the time in just the last one and the first one. And so I have a lot more freedom to really expand these, again, tailor that to your needs. Next step going into organization, one thing that I do is you'll see at the bottom I have this actual Tradingview app down here. I use the desktop app. I used to use the browser version, and I stopped doing that once I got the app. And I've actually had Tradingview add a couple features into this so that it makes it a little bit more convenient. And so they're really good about expanding it. I really like the app. And so now going into kind of what I'm doing here, like what the actual window organization here is. So I have two windows open. This one on the left is the one that's actively open. So if we look at the top bar, we'll see I have a bunch of Bitcoins open, CME, Dominance, Ethereum, USDT, a bunch of what I would consider, market mover sort of tickers. Okay. And so a bunch of like what I consider market mover kind of stuff. This is a window that I leave open all the time. Essentially, if my computer does an update or restarts, I will open TradingView and it will automatically repopulate all of these things. That's actually one of the things I had them update in the app, was that it saves everything that you had when it closes down. So going one step further, again, I'm going to go through this pretty quick because my organization is crazy, but just to give you an idea of kind of the things you can do here. And so I have all the things I always want to open, which is a bunch of different Bitcoin charts. And then I have, the split screen RSI, I just leave this one open here. And then I have the trade logging, which should be probably on Bitcoin. So going one step further, if you look at the actual colors that are up here, so if I right click on any of these, I can add a color to these. And so what that does, it makes it so that all of the ones that are the same color are actually the same ticker. And so if we look at this Bitcoin Binance, so this is Bitcoin Binance, this is the same Bitcoin Binance. Now if I'm going to the pink one, now we're on Bitstamp. We go to the next one. Now I'm Bitcoin Coinbase. And so what that's pulling from is if I go to my list here, I have a bunch of, I have 4 main Bitcoin charts that I'm using. And it's kind of a way for me to separate what this other, chart layout would be doing. It's a way for me to just kind of break down different ideas because, this chart's obviously insane as is. And so it's just another way to break it down. And so the way that I break it down is that I have this, my Binance chart is the one that is always my go-to. And I have 3 windows of it open all the time. So the reason for that is so that I don't have to flip back time frames. I will essentially leave this one on 4 hour, kind of like it is right now. So I'd leave this on 4 hour. I've got this zoomed in on the 1 hour, and I've got this one at 15 minutes. And I'll hop these around if I'm going to 3 minute or 5 minute doing something like that. I'll change these, but I leave this a short time frame, kind of the middle, whether it's 1 or 2 hour, and then 4 or 6. And we can see that, as I'm here, you can actually see how this kind of zooms in. So we see the larger, larger kind of white bull flag that's here. We see this smaller bear flag in here. We click on the 1 hour, boom, it's already there. And then we have, some more action going on here, and immediately click in. And so it's just a quick way for me to look at this and go, oh, I wonder, where's this blue line going? And I can just bang, go out and say, okay, it's that one. All right, there it is, perfect. Again, that works for me. These 3 are on the same ticker. They're my go-to Bitcoin charts. Next one I've got, this is actually just a larger time frame. And so I actually moved this up to 12. I leave this on, I think, 12 or 1 day. Yeah. So I leave this on 12 hour or 1 day. Again, the reason for that is I'm able to chart some bigger patterns. And it gives me a way to, have these larger patterns showing without it, even further cluttering these other ones. And again, same thing, I actually go 1 time frame out farther on a weekly chart. And again, don't get me wrong, these charts all look insane. I know that nobody could look at this and reasonably understand what's going on. That's why you need to just find what works for you. And so if we actually look at these last 3, and so we notice these were all, kind of our shorter time frame ones. Mid time frame is the pink, larger time frame's red. That holds true over here. And so the only difference over here is that it's going to be changing this from the Bitcoin chart to the Bitcoin fibs. And so these I just have reserved for, other fib ideas, other things that I'm watching. It's just a way for me to separate some ideas without having, you're essentially either playing the game of, do you want to have a bunch of these windows dedicated to it, or would you rather have a bunch of different tickers dedicated to it? Beyond that, just leave CME open. Dominance is always open, Ethereum, and these are mostly open so that they're the ones that I like to occasionally flip back through. Well, that's not right. And so without me having to, go through my coins over here and actually, remember which ones they were, it's just a way for me to quickly flip through and check these things. And this is just my way of getting by with only one monitor. So I'm doing all of this with one monitor, which is why all of these are sharing the same window. If I had more than one monitor, I have more than just these two open. So that's really kind of the gist of what's going on here. So it's color coding within different exchange, different CEX exchange data, and then within that, using different chart layouts. And if we go over here, I just leave the split screen RSI open, and I always have my one trades tab open. So next part, what is the other window then? This window is essentially everything that is less permanent. So if there's things that I just want to chart, I'll have XRP open where I'm charting this, and it's essentially I'll make a window for anything I don't want to forget in a way. And so I kind of use that the same way that you would use these things over here. And so, if let's say that I'm really let's just open up another window here. It's the wrong one because it's the miscellaneous. Sorry about that. I don't want this 2. That's why I'm changing this. I want it to be, yes, on standard. Let me double click that. And let's just say that, I find Rune, and let's say that, for some reason, I think that this is, just the most bullish chart in the world, going to the moon. If there's something that I want to remember on here, I don't want to forget it, rather than me clicking through and going to the next coin, I'll actually move it kind of up. So I actually use this almost as a priority list. That's not necessarily true. It's just a list so that I can say, oh, hey, I was looking at Solana the other day. Why was I looking at it? And I can click on it and go, oh, right. It's because I wanted to check on this or see if this, broke out or did whatever. And so that's what this window is for. If there's anything that, I go back to it and I say, hey, I'm not sure that, I don't like the way Rune looks anymore. I'll just get rid of that. And it's just gone. And so it's a very, temporary-ish sort of setup. And so this is really just for me to screw around with whatever charts, whatever I'm looking at. I'll open one of these and just go, straight to the KuCoin setups. And, I can just flip through these and, just have a window dedicated to that sort of a thing. So there's really no rules here, but that's what I use this window for. So this is the one that I don't delete any of the windows off of. And this one I can just, delete whatever on, no regrets. With that said, another way that I go into, seeing if there's anything I'm interested in, so like this, Cardano said, what, I'm interested in watching this one. I want to at least put it on a radar that I don't, another way that I don't forget about it. And so that's what these color flags are really good for. So I'll just tag it pink. And anything in pink is, at one point or another, something that I was reasonably interested in following. The hard part is actually going through and clearing these out at some point. I haven't gone through them in a bit, and so a lot of these are old and things that I'm not actually interested in anymore. And so I do need to actually go through here and flip through and say, am I interested in any of these things? And the answer is probably no on almost all of them. And so every time, there's a big market switch where it's like, okay, I'm sitting on the sidelines, I'm going to reevaluate things. That's when I take the time to clear these things out. And so all of these lists are for different reasons like that. Pink is for checking the ones that I'm interested in. Orange are the ones that these are kind of like the big market maker ones that I have. And so I have all of these set aside just for that, so it doesn't clutter anything else. And again, there's like 6 flag colors, some of that 7. And so you can do a lot more organization than just what I'm doing here, for sure. And on top of that, I just have the list of a bunch of other ones that I have broken down by category. And you can, a lot of these I don't use. Again, I need to go through and actually clear some of them up. But that's a gist of, kind of how I'm doing this breakdown. Hopefully that helps. I don't know. I really wouldn't recommend anybody do it the way that I do, unless you're looking at it and going, oh, wow, that makes a lot of sense. In which case, I'm worried about your mental state because this is crazy. But there's certainly good ways to do it. And I recommend not trying to perfect it the first time, because you'll almost always do something and then you'll go, oh, wow, I hate this organization. I'll have to change this. And you just modify it as you need to. And so don't try to get the perfect answer. I would recommend downloading the app, filling out everything how it just seems intuitive at first, And then as you find some inefficiencies, just change it up.